What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in. It's 1TS Daily live right here at One True Sport. How's it going? Happy Thursday. It's October 17th, 2024. Super glad to be here. I'm Zack Heydorn from Brass Ring Media and from SI. Super pumped. Always love doing the show. 11 a.m. Eastern. Can't come soon enough. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning. So thank you all for being here. We got a lot to talk about. We'll probably be uttering the phrase Jon Moxley or the name Jon Moxley quite a bit on this on the show today. Pretty crazy night on AEW Dynamite. But we're going to get to it all. Thanks so much. If you're joining us live on YouTube, hello. If you're watching us on Twitter, hi. And if you've downloaded us as a podcast, hello to you guys as well. Thanks so much for being here. We're live with this show, this very show, every single Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 11 Eastern. And we're here to talk the news of the day in pro wrestling. We're here to talk big shows, big events, and all the dirt sheet stuff that's out there. We knock it out on this show. So it's a good 25, 30-minute fix to get you started with your day and to keep you in the know on all things pro wrestling. So that's our mission here. And so thanks if you're joining us live. Glad you're able to do it. If you're watching this video on YouTube, hit like for me if you don't mind. Hitting that like button, man. It helps us out big time. In terms of reaching new people and reaching new wrestling fans, and that's our goal. We want to do that. So if you can, hit like and support the show that way. It's a big help. I've got the live chat open and rocking, and we've got people filing in already. Amy's in there. Amy says, "Hey, good morning!" Exclamation point. Good morning, Amy. So good to see you in the live chat. Lukey is there as well. She says, hello, what's going on? Thanks so much for joining us live. Glad you're able to check out the show. I do have super chats enabled as well. If you are willing and able to send a super chat, either a question or a comment, if you want to make sure that it gets answered and addressed on the show, super chat's the way to do that, and it helps us out. So thank you in advance for any kind of contribution that you're willing to make. I do have the live chat open though as well, so you can get your comments and your questions in there. If there's a topic that you definitely want us to discuss today, drop it in, ask your question, and we'll make sure to do that. The agenda though for today is we're going to talk a lot of AEW Dynamite last night, a lot of key developments there, a lot of directional stuff, I think, and a pivot for AEW in some ways. We're going to get to all of that. We're also going to talk some news tidbits, and then we will preview tonight's episode of TNA Impact as well. So we'll be able to take a look at that show. And, with Bound for Glory coming up soon, not soon, next weekend, we got a lot to get to, in that regard. So we definitely want to, talk about TNA a little bit, especially on Thursdays, given when their show airs live. But that being said, let's start off. Let's talk about Jon Moxley. Let's talk about last night's episode of Dynamite. What did everybody think of the show? In the live chat, just drop it in there. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Really curious as to what the overall vibe is. Listen, I thought last night's show was a pretty good show, top to bottom. And I think more than it being like a good show, I thought it was a effective show with some glaring omissions. Let's talk about the good first. Jon Moxley, man, the guy is just so good at what he does. And when he is on, and when he is engaged, and when he is kind of like into what he's doing, and you can tell there is an edge and passion behind his performance that is unmatched in the company. Jon Moxley is and has been for the last, batch of weeks here, the most intriguing part of AEW by a wide margin. And this week was no different. I thought the opening promo, kind of a pre-tape promo, was effective. I thought he really put a purpose behind what he's doing. And I know that he was vague in some instances. He was kind of like, not talking necessarily straight, but just pretty broad strokes. But the bottom line is he's in open rebellion with AEW. He doesn't like the way AEW has gone as a company. He doesn't like the people in it. He doesn't like anything about it. He hates it, as he said. And now that he's champion, he's confident enough to say in the camera, like, "Hey, look, everybody in that company works for me now." Pretty bold declaration, if you ask me. Pretty bold declaration, but a twisted one too, and one, like the best heels in wrestling and really the best villains across, any type of genre. Like there is to them a reasonable explanation for them doing what they're doing. Like they don't see it as heel. They don't see it as this bad guy. Like think Thanos in the Marvel movies. He's completely in his own mind, completely justified, in doing what he was doing. Moxley has a little bit of that in him here, where he's completely in his mind justified to conduct himself the way he has been, and with the viciousness that he has throughout the last few weeks. So I think we got an answer. I think we got an answer of like the overarching, theme behind why Moxley's doing this. Moxley alluded to early in this heel turn. He alluded to, hey, there's more going on here than you understand. Like you do not own this company anymore. And I think that like inherently people think in that regard, like, hey, okay, so who's running Jon Moxley? And tonight, or not tonight, geez, last night, I cannot predict the future, FYI. last night on the show, Mox positioned himself as like the leader of all of this. And I wonder if that's AEW kind of like telling the audience, like, okay, like back off on the fantasy booking on somebody else coming in, whether it's, I know Shane McMahon has been out there a lot. Not going to happen. I think last night was a pretty definitive statement that like Mox is the person in charge here. This is a Moxley driven thing, and that nobody's running him. Who can run Jon Moxley, right? I mean, who can run Moxley at this point? Like he's his own guy. And I like that. I like that in the end. I like that he put the responsibility for all of this like squarely on his shoulders. And not only does that set him up as the heel that all the babyfaces are chasing, but it puts Moxley in like the tip top position in the company as world champion, but also, most focused on guy. Now, that has its inherent problems within a pro wrestling narrative ecosystem, right? I mean, it just does, because why? Well, we know that Tony Khan owns the company. So, you have to just choose to suspend your disbelief and go, okay, even though realistically Tony Khan would have the ability to suspend and fine and fire Jon Moxley, we're going to suspend disbelief, around the lack of addressing that point, because it's tough. It's tough when you have a guy who's working for the company, but open rebellion of that company and, ruining matches, attacking other talent, trying to suffocate people with plastic bags. Like, why is that guy still around? You have to either try to answer that question or don't. AEW doesn't have a good track record of attempting to answer those kinds of questions. So I think like this may change, between now and 3 weeks from now or 5 weeks from now, when they, when this story continues to kick on. But for now, I'm okay with suspending my disbelief with it. Like, I just am. And it doesn't, I get that it doesn't make sense necessarily to do that or to accept that. But I think if you open up that box, what has to happen? Tony Khan is going to confront Jon Moxley on television. Like, we all know that's not a good avenue to go down if you're AEW and if you're Tony Khan. He's not good at that. So, plus they already did something like that with the Young Bucks. So that, is is questionable at best. So that's one hiccup with all this. The other hiccup with this is, you know, it's okay. The baby faces that are going against him. I understand that you don't want to give away the farm on too early, right? So you have to have Moxley and the BCC leftovers beating up somebody and fighting somebody. You have to have somebody fight back. But it's just like all the top baby faces aren't in to go against him. Will Ospreay? No. Swerve Strickland doesn't mention it. you know, like you just don't have those top guys on the babyface side of things paying attention, I suppose. Jay White doesn't talk. Like none of the top babyfaces are out there, So you can't have Moxley just beat up mid-card guys forever. I don't think that there's value in that. Like I think that will get old really, really quick. You have to start establishing credible opponents for them that are that the fans can get behind so that they can take down Mox and company. Top Flight is not that team. The Dark Order is not that team. And so to hear them out there like trying to like talk a big game, it's just like, oh geez, like they're gonna have a match like Claudio and Pac, and they're gonna have to sell for these guys. Like, I don't know. I didn't particularly like that element of this. I think you have to have a better babyface unit going against them initially. Like Danny Garcia would work. I think he's he's on that level of guy where it's like, okay, I could see like that's a big enough guy who could reasonably take down, Mox and company. Problem there is, Mox isn't going to lose this first feud. He's going to be winning for a long time, and so is his faction. So you just started pushing Garcia again. Do you want to, sacrifice him for this? I think it's worth it. I think it's better to have him in that slot and lose than it is for, Dark Order to try to pretend that they can put up a fight against these guys. Sidebar. If I was Tony Khan, John Silver would be getting a talking to this morning. When Mox and the BCC were attacking Dark Order and Top Flight backstage, and then they drove off, and then you had comedic John Silver like running after the truck, and the audience laughs. So you do this huge heat angle, and it's serious, and it's a little sad, and it's dark. And Silver, can't help himself? He got to chase, after the car, like a comic book character. We're supposed to believe that? We're supposed to no. That is stepping on the angle. And if I'm Tony Khan, this isn't a big angle, way bigger than John Silver. No, you cannot have John Silver doing that. And if he was produced to do that, even worse, bad judgment. So that was the worst part of the show this week was that moment. And so, yeah, John Silver's got to pay more attention to what's going on. It totally did not fit for that particular moment. And it hurt the overall impact. Okay. The final angle that I want to talk about this from is, well, there's two more actually. The Young Bucks and the Elite being positioned as like the managers who are like, I don't see anything. I'm gonna go this way. So that's going to be interesting to follow. What I have trouble figuring out here is like, are the Young Bucks just going to look away like into perpetuity? I mean, that would be their characters at this point to just kind of ignore. Or is this like a means for them to kind of figure it out, with AEW again and try to, love it again and be more, like a little bit more like gain respect back from the audience in going up against the BCC on behalf of of AEW, which is the company that they founded. So there's a couple different angles you can go. I don't want to see this turn the Young Bucks babyface. Like, you know, they are not good fighting babyfaces opposite a team like Mox. Like, I just don't think they have the serious chops to do it. And so I hope that they just continue to be like in the background going, I don't see anything. We'll see. But it would get pretty silly pretty quick if all of a sudden like this snapped them out of it and they were baby faces in this. I'm not in on that. But it begs the question though. It begs the question of who is the person that or group that is going to go after, Jon Moxley and chase them down. I mean, I think initially it's going to be Tom Floyd and Private Party and the Dark Order. Eventually, I think it'll be Daniel Garcia, and I think Orange Cassidy will get a shot, and Darby Allin will get a shot. And I mean, if they want to keep going, they can. Swerve can get a shot. Jay White can get a shot. Samoa Joe could come back and get a shot. Will Ospreay could get a shot. But I'm wondering if in the end, this is the moment for Kenny Omega to come back and, represent all things AEW against the big bad Jon Moxley. I think that story works really well. At the same time, and they've had a long feud together, since AEW started, 5 years long now. But they've done this already. They've done it. Kenny Omega won the world title from Jon Moxley the first time that they wrestled. So, I don't know. We'll have to see how hot this gets. But the Elite's involvement in this, that's the tip as to, okay, maybe this is an Omega thing. But we'll have to see. Regardless, thumbs up to Jon Moxley. Very, very good work and strong stuff. Let's go to the chat here. Yeah, Amy's agreeing here. She says, I'm interested to see where the Moxley thing goes. And then Andrew says here in regards to my John Silver thing, no way it was worse than the Mercedes match. You didn't like the Mercedes match, Andrew? I didn't think the Mercedes match was that terrible. I thought it was okay. I thought it was fine. I mean, it's low level stuff for her. But like in a vacuum, like match for what it is, I don't know. I didn't think it was that terrible. But thanks for the comment, man. Also on the show this week, we had a return of Adam Cole, and officially back in AEW. He pretty much rewrote and retconned the whole story with MJF. Oh God, it was hilarious seeing him try to do that and try to like make it make sense. And I look, that devil angle and the devil story and that whole friendship thing was not good. I mean, there's not a part of that was good. I mean, none of it was. And I was advocating yesterday on this show, just drop it. Just drop it. Start new. You can still do MJF against Adam Cole, but just start fresh, And I guess if you have to mention it a little bit, fine. Otherwise, just let it go because it didn't work. And there's no use trying to revisit it and trying to make it make sense now when it was so bad before. I was glad that they made that call last night. They alluded to things, but they didn't spend too much time, trying to connect dots that just had no business being connected. So now you have just like a straight up heel versus babyface match. MJF against Adam Cole. And, MJF's not going to let Cole get at him. And then he's going to get at him eventually. So, I mean, that's about as good as you could expect at this point for them. Given everything that happened. I thought Cole was good. I thought he was good. I thought he, like it just enough with the right. I mean, the story time with Adam Cole, baby. Like, can we think of something else, please? Like, it's just, I don't know. It's just too cutesy, if you ask me. But that's just me. Maybe I'm being just too much of a curmudgeon. I don't know. But either way, I thought he had a good night. Main event: Jay White loses to Christian Cage thanks to interference from Adam Page. Was it weird to anybody else? Did it seem like to everybody else that Page came out like too early? And he was just like, oh crap, I ran out too early. And now I'm going to lay here at ringside and try to hide. Like, it just seemed very bizarre to me. But in the end, Page costs Jay White the match. And that feud is on and continuing. So I like the match a lot. I think Jay White is so talented and just untapped at this point in AEW. And if Tony Khan wants to use him, and he should, like there's a main eventer there for him if he wants it as a babyface now. Grab a sip of coffee here. Okay, let's get to the chat here. Mercedes Moné wrestled Queen Aminata on the show. Mercedes won that match totally clean. And then we got some chatter going on this. The boss jumps in here and says the Mercedes match was her best TV match. Aminata is very good for less than experience. I like Aminata too. I saw her on the ROH show live over WrestleMania weekend this year. I was pretty impressed. I think that she's got a future in AEW, not just in Ring of Honor. Andrew responds, says, way too much time setting things up, but not delivering, no crispness. And she defended against someone who recently lost a world title match again. Yeah, so I like the match, but I do agree with Andrew H. that, look, it's Mercedes Moné. This is Sasha Banks. This is someone you're paying 7 figures to every year. And she's got nothing going on. She's got nothing to show for it. Who's she feuding with? What is she doing for the show? That's the issue with this match, is that it's just match and that's it. I guess maybe she's feuding with Chris Statlander, but even that's weird because Statlander spent the entire year working as a heel and trying to get over as a heel, and now here she is, not heel. Against Mercedes. So they gotta figure out the Mercedes stuff. I mean, you have a big star here that's just not doing enough for you. When you look at the key players of the show yesterday, Moxley, Jay White, Christian Cage in the main event, Daniel Garcia getting time, as the face of the group going after Team Mox. It's a lot of the people that you've paid big money to aren't the focus of your show. Mercedes, Okada, Ospreay wasn't there this week. So just got to use your stars, TK. Use them. Andrew says here, and someone get Camille better footwear. She's going to hurt herself in those heels. Yeah, I think that's totally Camille's call, Andrew. So, and I'm certainly not going to tell her how to dress. But, yeah, I suppose no one wants her to hurt herself. That's for sure. All right, that's Dynamite. Let's hit some news topics here. Pull up my news sheet that I wanted to get to. All right. TNA announced this morning. The story first. KC Navarro signed a multi-year deal with TNA Wrestling. KC Navarro, pretty big name on the independents, has spent time in TNA before, and now he gets his deal. So good stuff for TNA. I think that's a good signing for them. That gives them some nice depth. Yesterday in Manchester, Cody Rhodes brought the UFC interim heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall into the ring. And had a moment with him, Rhodes, and Gunther. Pretty interesting. I mean, there's the TKO crossover that they've talked about for so long. You're starting to see it, and I think that is not going to be the last time you see something like that happen. With UFC and WWE together. So something to watch, something to look at moving forward. Brock Lesnar, not in WWE's plans from the foreseeable future. Fightful Select reporting that, yes, there were some mentions and allusions to Brock Lesnar on this week's episode of Raw, but there's no imminent plans to bring Lesnar back. No creative being set for him. Not a name that's in the mix at this time. And I think that's the right call. I mean, he's got some very, very, very serious allegations against him. And I think it'd be just terrible form for WWE to bring him back at this point in time. So good to hear that. Take that news as you may. Let's see. We got some more chats here. Matthew is here saying Mox is king and says the lame babyfaces are just cannon fodder for the first few weeks before an actual babyface steps up. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. If Mox and BCC like dump these guys in a minute, and move on, great. What I don't want to see is like 25-minute matches with Dark Order and BCC. Like that's just creates a bad perception around the new BCC. That's what I don't want to see. Thanks, Matthew. Appreciate you, man. Thanks so much for the contribution to the show. Guys, we do have live chats open if you're interested. Once again, we'll try to get to as many as we can here by the end of the show. Thank you. All right, let's talk TNA before we ride off into the sunset here. So tonight on Impact, it is going to be Mike Bailey versus Leon Slater for the X Division Championship. Nick Nemeth, who is the TNA champion, will wrestle Matt Cardona. PCO is going to face Rhino. Jordan Grace will have a face-to-face with Bound for Glory challenger Masha Slamovich. Mike Santana will face Brian Myers. And Steve Macklin is going to speak and get some promo time on the microphone. So pretty good show there. I am like most interested, obviously. I mean, the Mike Bailey Leon Slater match is going to be excellent, no question. But the Jordan Grace Masha Slamovich face to face, Slamovich is a good wrestler and a really good character and a good challenger for Jordan Grace at this time. And I think it's a match that's worthy of Bound for Glory, which is TNA's biggest show to date. So yeah, I think that's a smart match to do, and this is going to be a fun interaction to watch. We'll review the show tomorrow right here at 1TS Daily. Cool. All right, you guys, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks so much for joining. It's been a blast as always. We'll be back tomorrow talking all the news of the day. If you want to check out more of my work at Brass Ring Media, you can. We have a YouTube channel that we have shows on every day of the week. You can get all of those YouTube shows as podcasts for free. Just download Brass Ring Media, the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, and you can get us right on your mobile devices and take us anywhere. So search for us, Brass Ring Media, wherever you get your podcasts, Brass Ring Media. Substack, as Matthew says here, Brass Ring Media is gas. Thank you, Matthew. And we have our written work up at Substack. We're going to have some pieces dropping a day. We have every day we drop something new on the Substack newsletter for Brass Ring Media. So you can subscribe to that totally free. Just search Brass Ring Media Substack. Cool? Guys, thank you so much. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Amy. Thanks to Boss and everybody else who was in the live chat hanging out today. Thank you for listening. Hit like on your way out. It certainly would help me out big time. And I thank you in advance for the support of the show. We'll see you tomorrow right here, 11 Eastern, 1TS Daily, One True Sport. I'm Zack Heydorn. Have a wonderful day. See ya.